Greetings. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is Movie Night. Well, sometimes you have to look at something on the screen that's a little more serious than many of us would like. Usually that's in a form of a documentary, a full-blown educational film that's designed to teach you something and probably expand your consciousness in a more positive way. Now, the world is a mess. It's been that way for some time. In recent years, it's gotten even worse. One of the major economic catastrophes in recent human history was the mortgage-backed security fiasco, explosion, meltdown, whatever you want to call it, that occurred in 2008 and ended up moving into 2009, something that led to what we called the Great Recession. It was a real nasty punch that was made even worse a few years later because of the COVID crisis, but that's a bit about history. Why does all this stuff happen? Why is the world so inefficient? Why do we have so much misery, suffering? Why is it that we have a lifestyle that exceeds almost by light years what our ancestors did throughout most of human history, yet we still have a real mess we're living in? Well, the film that was produced in 2012 by a British filmmaker who enlisted a great deal of economic talent, historical references, tried to answer that, and I think pretty much did. The movie I'm talking about, the documentary, is Four Horsemen. It came out in 2012, that's 13 years ago, and is still extremely relevant. It was written and produced and directed by a man named Ross Ashcroft, who sadly passed away at the end of 2024. And something that needs to be mentioned right up front is I have not been able to find how he died, why he died, or where he's buried. How many semi-famous people are not listed on Find a Grave? Well, he's one of them. So if anyone knows anything about what happened to him, please contact me. Anyways, let's go back to this documentary. It's about an hour and a half long, and it compares what's going on to the world now with the rather infamous Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Only in this case, the Four Horsemen are five different things: empires, the banking system, terrorism, we're still having a lot of that, resources not being allocated properly, and just general progress. There's a lot to this documentary. Quite a few very knowledgeable people are in it: social commentators, economists, people that have been involved in social activity. If I sat here and talked about everything that's in it, it would probably be as long as the documentary itself. It's an important thing to educate yourself on, because no other visual production, no book that I know of, has come close to explaining and coming up with possible solutions to all the craziness that's going on in our world. One of the biggest culprits, of course, is our economic system, which is no longer involved in production, more like moving around artificial wealth. There's going to be some people that will debate the accuracy of this documentary, but I've yet to hear anyone who's been able to refute it. We're going into a time in history where major decisions are going to be made, and are being made as we speak. Our economic system is obviously not doing what it's supposed to do. Industry is not working. International relations are diving into the abyss. Terrorism at a statewide level is even worse than it was in 2012 when this documentary came out. It goes into the root cause of everything, why terrorism actually exists, why things in the world are getting apparently worse, why debt slavery is something that is enchaining everyone in the world. In fact, J.P. Morgan, the infamous banking robber baron of more than 100 years ago, would have found our system excessive and unfair. Now that tells you something, doesn't it? Anyways, this is a bit of education on your weekend, and it doesn't cost anything. You can find DVDs about it. The official website is no longer functioning, but it's for free up on YouTube, and free is good. It's something to sit down and watch. You can watch it with the family. It's also something that you're going to want to watch a couple of times over, and it's been commented that this is definitely something to have on a DVD if you can, simply because there's a lot of points in here that are pretty heady, and you might want to hit the rewind button, which is not something you can see in theaters. Again, the documentary that I would recommend this week that you sit down and take the time to watch, it's only 90 minutes, shorter than most productions. Four Horsemen, written and directed by Ross Ashcroft. It was put out by Guerrilla Films, the distributor, back in 2012. It was a UK-based production, and it's excellent. So, before you go back to work next week, take time to learn about why your work seems to be harder and harder, and what can be done about it. Because all too often people are coming into scary stuff to put out there, but very few films or books even address ways that it can be fixed. This film does that. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share. Share with your friends and share with your enemies because they have to live in the same world as you do. I can be reached at feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. This podcast originates at Substack. My handle there is aureliancolumn.substack.com. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and remember, don't forget the popcorn, and always watch the movie until the credits have stopped rolling. Good day.